I told my daughter what we were going to be talking about today, and she leapt up because it's MrBeast. So MrBeast, if you don't know who he is probably the most famous YouTuber in the world. He's the most followed YouTuber.
Jimmy Donaldson is his real name, but he goes by MrBeast. He has hundreds of millions of subscribers. This video where he goes inside the pyramids, in Egypt, in Giza for 100 hours. He started teasing this video back in December, and he said in a tease, he had rented the pyramids for 100 hours. We were like, is that possible?
I think it's definitely like opening up another generation to history. So isn't that great?
He's with Egyptologists who are giving him information and giving, by proxy, viewers information about what they're seeing.
Egyptians talking about their culture, their history on a huge platform. So will this have a little bit of a boost and a little spike in Egyptian tourism? Hello, everyone. Today on the show, we're going to be talking about MrBeast in Egypt.
And a controversial character in an upcoming Marvel movie, Captain America: Brave New World.
This is Culture Bites coming to you from the National Newsroom. I'm Enas Refaei.
And I'm Farah Andrews.
Hi.
It is us two this week.
'Tis us.
We are here together.
Which I'm really excited. I'm good. I'm well. I'm like, I've got some friends visiting from the UK. So I'm kind of, if you're checking out my Instagram, you'll realise that I'm being a tourist at the moment in the UAE, which I love.
And she's so dedicated. Nice. She's come on in on a day off.
Yes.
And you and I are going to an art event later, which I'm sure we'll talk about next week.
Yes. A little school trip.
A little school trip for Farah and Enas.
So what's been happening? What do you? So we were just talking. Let's not pretend.
Let's not beat around the bush.
So we were just talking about the Super Bowl. Everyone's talking about it. It's gone viral. Every single aspect of Kendrick Lamar's.
I would describe it perhaps as a polarizing halftime show for the Super Bowl.
Oh,
yeah.
You say what's polarizing? I thought everybody loved it.
I mean, everybody in our circle of the internet loved it. I loved it. It was amazing. I think a lot of people were kind of a bit like, who's Kendrick?
Oh.
But we don't need to worry about them.
Is he not that mainstream?
I think he's pretty mainstream.
I think he's pretty mainstream.
We were talking about him last week, hot from the Grammys. He just won 2 the biggest awards. The record and
maybe
Song of the Year.
Yeah, Song of the Year. I think a lot of the time, though, with the Super Bowl, it's kind of like those big, like, Katy Perry, Lady Gaga, like those kind of Rihanna, like really big acts. And maybe perhaps some people are like, Kendrick? But other than they are not like us, they're not like us. I can't say the words without singing. There was a protester on the stage.
So, towards the end of the performance, one of the dancers, he didn't storm, it wasn't like a pitch invasion or anything like that. It was one of the dancers. He was dancing on a car as part of the like wider performance, and he had tucked a banner in his pocket that was like a hybrid of the Palestinian and the Sudanese flags, and he started waving it.
Yes.
You could see him when it was shown live, you could see him in the stream. And then the NFL have since said, yeah, that happened. We ain't denying it. And he was removed. And then today I read that particular dancer will not be dancing for the NFL ever again. I think they're expecting that.
I think he was probably expecting that. What a way to kill a career and come out like as doing something that you believe in, though.
Yeah, I mean, I think he'll probably, there's a lot of other people that are going to hire him, right? But pre-statement moment. It's gone viral I've seen it everywhere, the kind of like flag waving, which is, it's definitely a moment. But the whole of Kendrick's performance had like moments.
Yeah. I mean, Serena Williams took to the stage to dance.
Yeah.
Not to play tennis. And she was doing her little, is it called a crip walk?
Yeah.
Yeah. And obviously that song is a diss track from her ex.
Yeah. So Not Like Us is the famous Drake diss track. Throughout the performance, he was kind of teasing it. It was like he started playing bars from Not Like Us, and everyone was like, "Oh, is it going to happen?" But no. And then he kind of said, "I really want to sing. I want to sing their favorite song," but they like to sue because Drake's team are particularly they're known for being a bit litigious. They're legal. They're so happy.
They're so happy. Well, isn't everyone in America?
But then when Kendrick's probably in a bit of hot water this week, but then when he looked at the camera, he was like, oh, hey, Drake.
Oh.
It's petty, it's messy.
And I'm here for it.
I love it.
So we're going to be talking today. Well, let's go to our first topic of the day.
First point of order.
Where I told my daughter what we were going to be talking about today, and she leapt up because it's MrBeast. So MrBeast, if you don't know who he is probably the most famous YouTuber in the world. He's the most followed YouTuber.
Generationally specific when we say most famous, but yeah, he's huge.
Humongous. He has like I only realised this from watching the video that he has like a load of toys.
He has toys, he has chocolate, he has TV shows.
He has an island.
This man's got multiple revenue streams.
And he comes from YouTube. It's all primarily from YouTube, which is incredible as a career choice.
So Jimmy Donaldson is his real name, but he goes by MrBeast. He has hundreds of millions of subscribers. I'm going to ask the producers how many, at the time of recording, how many times his most recent video has been watched. But when we were writing about it, so this video where he goes inside the pyramids in Egypt, in Giza for 100 hours, right?
Yeah,
Massive.
So he basically gets access to the pyramids for himself.
We'll talk about that. As of now, 75 million people have watched this video. When we were this video went up on Saturday. Myself and one of our colleagues wrote about it. It had been watched 36 million times when it had been up for 17 hours. His numbers are wild. So he started teasing this video back in December. And he said, in a tease, he had rented the pyramids for 100 hours. We were like, is that possible? Can you?
Can you do that?
Who rents the pyramids? How does one rent a pyramid? I'm planning a wedding. Am I planning it at the pyramids? Let's see.
I mean, it would be
I rent it?
Pretty fun.
No, you can't. An Egyptian government office said that he had not rented it for 100 hours, but he did get access for 100 hours.
Ooh.
So different. And in the video, when it's actually live, he doesn't say he rented it.
He doesn't. No, I watched the video this morning. My daughter, it was like, this is brilliant.
It's a sugar rush.
Yeah, it's like super fast paced. There's such a funny world we're living in where there's like some people are going towards this like, slow talking podcasts, ASMR. And then the other side is like really fast paced editing. And we were watching this video and it's like, bum, 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 we're in a tomb, we're on a ladder, bam. But I think it's definitely like opening up another generation to history. So isn't that great?
Such an important takeaway from it. Like, I liked the fact that, so he kind of does not count down, a count up, where he charts the hours that he spent in it, which is pretty fun. So you're kind of like watching, kind of like, oh, you've only got like 17 hours left. What else are you going to find? And I think the things that I will admit, this is my first MrBeast video. I'm new to the format.
Oh.
I had seen clips of his before. I've seen him proposing to his like wildly intelligent fiance. That happened in like December. They were both wearing MrBeast merch. He's not Silly Billy. But it was just very fast. And also because I was in a hurry, I watched it on 1.25 speed, which made it even more like. But
Sorry, just imagining watching that. Yeah, that's okay.
So what was your takeaway after?
Yeah, what was your takeaway?
I mean, it doesn't stop. He doesn't come up for breath.
No.
Literally at one stage, he's in like a chamber that's got limited oxygen. And they're like, we're going to run out of oxygen.
Yeah.
It's very loud. It's very high octane. But the things that I liked about it, he was always with, I don't know if this was one of his prerequisites or it's kind of like, it was a prerequisite of the Egyptian authorities for kind of giving him this access. But he's always with an Egyptologist. Mm-hmm. So the video is informed. He isn't just running around like a semi-offensive Harrison Ford, what's he called? Indiana Jones 2.0, making
kind of character, no.
Kind of like archaeological sweeping statements. He's with Egyptologists who are giving him information and giving, by proxy, viewers information about what they're seeing. Things like when he talks about, he asks if aliens built the pyramids. And it's so bad. I can't remember which of three Egyptologists replied. And he's like, there are 124 pyramids in Egypt. Do you think we can just order where the aliens are going to build the pyramid? No, Egyptians built these. And I love, so it's interesting.
There was a real a sense of ownership as well of Egyptian history and culture that I think really came through, because they didn't just go for like any old Egyptologist. They're Egyptians talking about their culture, their history on a huge platform. And like talking about, actually, I loved the bit where they went to the tombs of like the normal people, the people who built the pyramids. So they aren't highly decorated. But what he said is like, we learn from this, like how people ate, how people worked, how people, lived their actual normal lives, not the lives of the pharaohs, and how important that is for Egyptian society to know how their ancestors lived. That is, imagine that though.
And then when they're in rooms and he's like, when would this have been built? 4,500 years ago. And you can see that they're kind of like, oh, wow. So it isn't just going into the exciting submerged rooms or he goes under the Sphinx, which is incredible. What a thing to have done. He's like, I don't think I'm going to fit. And they're like, you will. And there are some parts that are a bit stunt-y.
But that's his style.
It is his style. He sends one of his friends to climb Chandler. He sends up the side of the pyramid, and then he gets one of the guys to
just
start shouting at him in Arabic. He's like,
yalla, yalla, yalla. He's like, inside. And the guy's just like frozen, like, what am I doing something wrong?
Panic. And then they do all have a laugh. But then...
Bit of a lad joke.
Exactly.
But
we still need the stunts.
Nice. Yeah, it's nice. So I think it's definitely... So I watched it with my daughter because I really wanted to get an idea as well of how this would be received, okay? She's 9 years old. She's a huge MrBeast fan. She, like, all of the children in her class, like, collect his toys and, like, they talk about him all the time.
Oh, he buries one of his toys in the Sphinx. Claimed it's worth $10,000. How is one of MrBeast's toys worth $10,000?
Probably not.
Okay.
Maybe. I'm just not down with the kids. That probably is then. That probably is.
Out of interest, who's buying that? Who's the market?
Honestly, my daughter in her class, like, she said that the kids are all collecting the toys.
Has Dahlia got a $10,000 budget for these toys?
Don't you even think you're
Dahlia
going
and I are going to have a conversation if she has a budget for these toys.
She doesn't have any budget. No, so anyway, going back to like this pyramids and like the effect on children, like she did feel like it was an exciting portrayal of like Egyptian culture and heritage, and she really felt like, I want to go to Egypt now. So will this have a little bit of a boost and a little spike in Egyptian tourism?
I think I was brought up in the British curriculum and learning about parts of history of ancient Egyptians and learning about pyramids and different pharaohs. That was part of the curriculum in history when I went to school. It was basically that, the Tudors and World War II. That's what we learned about.
Good times.
Also the Aztecs. And so it's something that is, obviously it really does capture like that really big scale, so distantly removed from like way of life now, retelling of history, really does capture like a child's imagination.
Yeah.
And so it is a part of kind of what we're learning in the British curriculum. I can't talk for others, but I think also the American curriculum, because Eddie kind of learned similarly to me. But
I'm sure in the Egyptian curriculum they cover,
I would say, quite extensively. And so it's it is kind of, children are learning about it, but bringing it in this kind of like very new way. I'm not suggesting that they're about to start showing MrBeast in history classes, but it will kind of hopefully like energize children to kind of want to come in and like learn a bit more. They were talking, and like you said, they kind of like going into like the tombs of like normal people, and they were talking about lots. It wasn't just kind of going into Tutankhamun focused. Ramses focused. It was very broad. There were so many different conversations they were having because it was
was so fast. It is really, really fast. I can't even say anything more than that. Like the editing was like...
Watch it on 1.25.
What? No, I'm not going to do that. I am not doing that. But yeah, so if you haven't checked it out, do check it out, because I think it's going to be maybe something that MrBeast will start doing more. And if he does more in the region, that'll be really exciting. So MrBeast, if you're listening, pick Petra next.
Yeah. Or Hegra. Fewer people have been and done these videos in Hegra.
Yes. Yeah, do it.
We are back. Welcome back.
Hi.
Did you enjoy that break? It was very brief.
What up? It was a MrBeast style break.
Did you even catch your breath?
I did not.
Should we talk about Captain America?
So yeah, do you want to like give for anybody who doesn't know the controversy at the moment surrounding the new Captain America film?
There's been a lot. Right. How Marvel literate are you?
I'm quite Marvel literate. I wouldn't say that I'm like it's huge on my radar, but anyway.
You wouldn't say it's your first language. It's so obviously Captain America Brave New World is coming out today, February 13th. So it's in cinemas here in the UAE, Feb 13th. And it has been a film that has been kind of surrounded by controversy since it was announced. I think most people will know Captain America as the Chris Evans character as Captain America. Spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert. He is no more. I don't think that's a spoiler anymore. I think that happened in the Avengers. One of them.
Yeah.
There's been so many of them. And so there's a new Captain America.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Played by?
Anthony Mackie.
Oh.
We all like Anthony Mackie. And so he is stepping behind the shield and into the character of Captain America under a different name. I think he's called Sam Wilson. So there's been a lot happening. There's been some kind of character controversies. There's some new baddies. There's been apparently there were lots and lots of quite extensive reshoots.
Yeah.
So it's not been a straightforward filming experience, but something that there've been quite a few back and forths on is surrounding one character.
Yes, the character was first announced when they said they were going to be making this film. And at the National here, we've actually got a bit to the bottom of it by interviewing the producer.
So there's the character is the character of Ruth Bat-Seraph, who is a character that is kind of part of Marvel lore. She's not been written and invented for this film. She appears in comic books and she has like a backstory.
From the 1980s.
Yeah.
But she is originally a Mossad Israeli agent.
Yes.
Who originally wore the Star of David and was portrayed like that in the comic books. And they had decided to bring her back for this film. And with the war in Gaza, this has obviously caused a lot of controversy.
Then there was like a bit of there was a bit of, I don't think backpedaling is quite the right term, but then there was some further confusion about her character, because it was said that she was going to be she'd been rewritten, her history being rewritten for this film as a Black Widow character, which means that she would not be a Mossad agent, and it means that she wouldn't necessarily be Israeli, but she was going to kind of have the similar kind of skill set, as it were, to play this role as a Black Widow character, which is obviously Black Widow is the character that Scarlett Johansson made pretty famous.
Okay.
But that's kind of a genre of character, not so much just one person.
Okay.
And then, so
it's all very confusing.
It is.
It's all very confusing. So
Imagine
they decide
trying to edit the story about this last week.
So they say back in 2022, before the Gaza war, they're going to bring back this character, and the character's name is Sabra. And she's the Mossad agent. And she was first introduced into the books 1980. So that's where we are on the timeline. Now we're gonna fast forward. And they announce it 2022, and then we have the Gaza war. But the other controversy around this character is between that time, so 1980 something, we had the Sabra massacre. The Sheba and Sabra massacre in Lebanon. So some people are saying it's distasteful that she has the name Sabra, and others are saying
a whole other layer that I wasn't.
This is a whole other layer. Israelis use the name Sabra as somebody who is born in Israel, an Israeli born in Israel, is called a Sabra, and a Sabra relates to a plant found in Israel and Palestine, where is kind of like left behind, like that this is a wild plant, so there's always been there, and it's called a Sabra.
Okay.
In Arabic, we also say sabr, which is patience. I went deep into this.
So the law runs deep here.
So it runs deep here. So we've got the controversies over the name of the character, and now we fast forward, and the producer is saying, actually, we changed her.
So we got to the bottom of this. William, who was on the podcast with us last week, interviewed the director. He also interviewed Anthony Mackie, and he interviewed one of the producers. And he asked about this character in particular. The producers, and he asked about the kind of general controversies. The producers said they cannot comment on every single controversy. They cannot comment on every single rumor because that's all they would be doing. He did talk about this, however. He confirmed that the character, so in this take on the film, she's called Ruth Bat-Seraph, and he mainly calls her Ruth. They go with Ruth, and she's played by Shira Haas, who's from Unorthodox.
Oh, she's a brilliant actress. Brilliant.
So he confirmed she's Israeli. But not Mossad. She works for the US government in the new Captain America.
Oh.
So they've changed her history.
So she's an Israeli... I'm just going to... Mossad agent, not Mossad agent.
The producer said she's Israeli, working for the US government. Enas, take that.
Sorry. I'm looking at the producers now.
And in the film, Harrison Ford plays the president.
Oh, lovely. He's back.
He's never gone anywhere.
He's not going anywhere. He should have been down in Giza with MrBeast.
Yeah, I mean, oh gosh, we've had 2 Harrison Ford shout outs today. I mean...
So what do you think then? Are you a Marvel fan? Are you still going to see the film?
We both know, Enas, that I'm not a Marvel fan. So why? Am I going to see the film? No, probs not. Is it going to be on an airplane that I'm on at some stage? Am I going to watch it then? No, probs not. I'm going to find like The Jinx and watch that, aren't I? I like my true crime.
Yeah.
But the...
I like horror films on planes.
Okay, let's unpack that at another time. What? You would sit in a pressurized cabin and watch a horror film?
I just feel like because of the high intensity of horror, it just makes me forget that I'm like on a flight and I'm just engrossed.
You're a nervous flyer, aren't you?
I just don't really like flying. So I wouldn't say I'm nervous. I just don't like it.
You would rather be nervous about a film than a flight.
I just find flying so boring. That the horror kind of captures my mind and I just forget that I'm on a boring flight.
That's wild. I just sit and read and sleep. It's my favourite thing to do. Anyway, we digress. What do I think? I think that she could have been... I don't think...
Spit it out.
Being Israeli is not a crime. She could have been an Israeli character. That's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
Done.
Exactly. This is why everyone's on their toes about this.
Yeah.
I'm surprised the producer even spoke to us.
I'm not sure that they were like...
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I went down such a hole regarding the name, the history of the character.
The name and the history is fascinating.
It is absolutely fascinating. But like,
what do you think? You
I'm probably going to see it. I love her. I mean, I like an action film. Look, this is where like we definitely differ. Like horror film on a flight and an action film when I'm not on a flight.
What a lovely way to live, Enas. I'm thrilled for you.
Don't bring me a romantic comedy.
Oh, I will in a minute. You asked me for my recommendation of the week. When we get there, I'm going to bring you a romantic.
I think that it's very good. Like the pendulum of cultural sensitivity is swinging in a direction where we have just witnessed a horrific war on Gaza after the Hamas attacks. And I think that it is important to have some cultural sensitivities
100%.
And painting people as heroes in these times is a difficult one. So I really actually, and I know we spoke about Mo and Mo last week, but you know, to go back to that point, growing up, I didn't see any of that. I didn't see anyone pay any kind of cultural sensitivity to Arab characters or people from a Muslim background. You know, like I was a teenager after 9/11 and like, you know, it felt at one point like it was okay to just, you know, hate on a whole culture. And
I think we've seen like outward Islamophobia made like the norm.
Yeah.
And that's, yeah.
Yeah. And it's kind of not okay. So,
but ditto that outward anti-Semitism cannot be the norm.
Of course.
And it's not one or the other. It's not a balance. And it's like,
no, all lives matter.
Do we know, this is maybe, because a lot of the points of this film are very wrapped up. Like we don't so much about the storyline of this film that people just do not know yet. Is she a goodie? Is she a baddie?
Oh, interesting.
Probably a goodie. In like Marvel lore.
Maybe we could do a little poll. If you think that the new Marvel character is a goodie, I would love if Hollywood gave us more, probably like more well-rounded characters, because there is no such thing as a goodie and a baddie.
She can be complex and she can be both.
Exactly, which is why I used to make my children watch a lot of Studio Ghibli. Look.
Or do we think that the propaganda machine is going to have her as a very outward goodie?
Props. We're not going to say that out loud.
Well, I just did.
Oh, okay. And on camera, recorded. But no, I think that, like, you know, characters can be complex, and like a lot of people, most people in the world do things because they think it's the right thing and it's the good thing to do. Is that always necessarily the case? No.
Or they at least think it's the right thing to do, not necessarily the good thing to do.
We're waffling.
I think I thought we'd be being quite profound. We're probably going to get to the point where people who know an awful lot about Marvel and this film in particular are going to be like shouting at their iPhones right now, being like, "We know everything about her. She's a goodie. We know everything about her. She's a baddie." But anyway, we move. We digress. And
I can't hear them right now, so it's not
nothing but silence.
Yep. I really enjoyed. Do you remember the Dwayne Johnson film? Was that Marvel? Black Adam.
Yeah.
That was great, but I didn't really get the hype.
Obviously, I've not seen it.
It's a good one.
I'm going to give us one shout out for the nice work that my team and my colleagues at the National are doing. We have got a How to Watch Marvel in chronological order story that
Beautiful.
I find so satisfying. We'll have to add this in to kind of find out where it kind of comes in the timeline, because I do find those kind of jigsaw puzzles of chronology really interesting.
Fascinating.
Let's leave it on that note, hun.
What a great note to leave it on.
Do you have a recommendation for me?
I do. So, as part of my cultural experiences this week in the UAE,
the culture.
Bites. So, what we went to this weekend, as my guests are here from the UK, we went to Qasr Al Hosn Festival, which is in downtown Abu Dhabi. I know you have been, and to everybody who's listening, you'll have to wait a year.
You're too late.
You're too late, but I want to get it on your radar early, because we were like, it was mainly Emiratis there. So really like a hub of like Emiratis coming together to experience their culture, their food. And I felt like really embraced by that warmness of the UAE. And my guests were thrilled with it. We saw people on horseback. We saw camels. We ate Emirati luqmat, obviously. Luqmat. And we had karak tea, and we bought artisanal goods, and it was just honestly so jam-packed and fun. And I really wanted to give a massive shout out to the organisers down in Qasr Al Hosn, where the fort is in Abu Dhabi. So you can still go to where the festival takes place, but they won't have all the bits and bobs. But it was a really, really fun.
It is like an amazing activation of Emirati culture and all the kind of different
yes,
kind of
there was poetry, there was music. It was just, honestly, it was full on, lovely. The kids loved it.
Amazing.
Yeah. What's your recommendation?
My recommendation is much less cultural. It's We Live in Time. It is a romance. Thank you so much.
I actually did want to watch this.
Enas, it's magical.
Is it really?
It's so beautiful. It's a romance. It stars Florence Pugh and, is that how we say her surname?
Yeah.
And Andrew Garfield, directed by John Crowell. It's just about a couple. It's a very slow romance, so focused on this couple and their different parts of their relationship, and the timeline jumps around. So at the beginning, you're kind of a bit like, where am I? And you kind of start to notice the different style points that kind of take you to where we are. Nothing is force-fed in this film. You kind of are. It's not complex. You aren't like struggling to keep up with it. It's no Inception, but it's just beautiful. And
I love those two actors.
I cried like 4 times.
Oh, babe.
Sometimes out of happiness, sometimes out of sadness. I will say there is like there is a cancer storyline. So if that isn't for everyone, it isn't for everyone. It's very emotional. Yeah. But it's beautiful, and the 2 actors are just such like, brilliant actors.
I was like all there to like watch this. When you said Florence, love Florence Pugh. What an amazing actress. I just like her edgy, like Britishness. Really like Andrew Garfield.
It's mostly set in Herne Hill. Does that do anything for you in London?
Ooh.
There we go.
Ooh,
And
I
she's
love
back.
Herne Hill. Yeah, you've definitely got me back. Because like, yeah, there's a bit where they, oh yeah, I was like, well,
The cat.
there's no like car chases.
Not a single one, actually, no. There is a funny car scene.
Okay, then fine.
Set
I'm
in a
back.
mini.
Back in the room.
And she's back. Go watch it. It's lovely.
Okay,
It's
I
still
will.
in the cinemas here in the UAE.
Fantastic. Well, that's my weekend. And that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening. And if you liked this episode, please follow and subscribe on your favourite podcasting app.
Be sure to follow us over on Instagram @The National Arts and catch new episodes of Culture Bites every Thursday.
Every
Bye.
Thursday.
Oh, every Thursday. Bye.